Hi everyone and Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining me for another rock painting video. It's a little different than it was last year. Last year, if you were able to check out the video, there were a whole group of us gathered here around the kitchen table. We had a nice dinner and we socialized and we all participated in the rock painting video. So it's a little different this year because of COVID, but you know what? It's still Christmas and we're still going to paint a rock and we're still going to have a nice little chat. So thanks again for joining me. I'm going to turn this camera around now so you're able to see the rock that I'm going to paint. Okay, so bear with me for a second. This is brand new for me, doing a live video on my own. So I'm hoping that I can turn this camera around without turning it off. So hang in there. It'll just take a second. Okay, so I'm hoping that that you're able to see properly here what's happening. Okay, so let me start. I'm going to try and connect in here with the video so that I can see your comments. Okay, so I should be able to see your comments now as we go through. Hi, Joan. Hi, Penny Ann. Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for joining. Okay, so let's take a look at the rock we're going to paint. So this is the rock. It's a very simple rock. We can't do anything too complicated on these live videos because people don't want to watch for too long. So this is a simple rock that we can paint relatively quickly. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put this up a little bit so you can still see it while we go through the process of painting this rock. And I have some rocks set up at different stages so we don't have to wait for the drying process. Okay, so here's the rock we're going to paint with the background. So this rock, you can see doesn't have any base coat on it. It's just a plain rock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a background on this rock that, that has a couple of colors mixed together to try and create a sense of texture in the background. So what I'm going to be using for this is this paint here. This is just an acrylic paint from the dollar store, and it's called Paradise Blue. And I'm going to also combine it with this color here. This is, again, another dollar store acrylic, and this is a peacock blue. Okay, so we're going to use these two colors together and create a little bit of a mottled background on the rock. Okay, so I'm going to move these out of the way for a minute, and I'm going to use a margarine lid as a palette, and just to quickly show you why I like to use these. You can see with this palette that I've used in the past, it's really easy to get the paint off once it dries, and you don't have to worry about washing any paint down into your sink or anything. It just peels right off. So it's a very handy way to clean up. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shake this paint up a little bit, and I'm going to put one blob of the peacock blue on my palette, and another few drops right beside it of the Paradise Blue. And I'm putting them beside each other for a very specific reason. I can Probably put my rock right in there so you can see it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this sponge. Now, this is just a man-made piece of sponge, but it looks very similar to a real sponge, and it's got all the nice little holes in it that'll give us a bit of texture in our design. So this sponge is a little bit dampened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this into my colored paints so that I've got half of the sponge with the dark blue and half of it with the lighter blue. Okay, and then I'm just going to start dabbing it on the rock. And you can see, and my finger apparently, and you can see how we get a little bit of blended color in there. We're getting some little bits of shading in there with the different colors. And we can always put more on if we feel that there's more light in one area and more dark in another area. We can just adjust. But I thought that these colors would maybe make a nice background sky for the rock that we're going to paint. Okay, so I think that should do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because we don't have a lot of time, is I'm going to move this rock out of the way, and I'm going to bring this dried rock that I've prepared in advance to show you the next step. So what I'm going to do now is I really want to give this sky some sort of iridescent, translucent kind of look to it to just create the atmosphere of this rock. So I'm going to use this varnish on it, and this is a Duraclear iridescent varnish in violet. So I'm going to put this on, and I'm only going to put one coat on to show you the effect of it right now. But if you're making this rock, I would suggest putting 2 coats on, because you really get the effect of it more so with 2 coats. And you can see, I hope, the iridescence of this rock. Now, this isn't a great rock. I'm just using this as an example. You can see it's got a couple of bumps in it there, but it does create a sort of a shimmer on the rock. Okay, so that's what we would use to create that little bit of shimmer in the rock. And I think you can see on the video there that it's a little bit shiny and more attractive. Okay, so I'm going to move this rock out of the way now, and I'm going to bring in this rock that I've already prepared and has the 2 coats of iridescent varnish on it. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us. Jim, hi, Jim. Thanks. Merry Christmas to you, too. Okay, so this is the rock that's prepared for our actual sketching. Okay, so again, I'm going to bring this other rock up above so you can see both rocks and what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the crèche. That's what it's called, right? A crèche. So I'm going to, it looks like the crèche, or the I guess that's what it's called. It starts about 1/3 of the way down the rock. So I'm going to just pencil, and this is really hard to pencil in with the varnish on it because it's really shiny and shimmery, and it's kind of hard to draw on the actual rock because of the translucent sort of nature of it. And the shininess doesn't allow for the pencil to really grab in there and get it. I'm going to make these a little bit thicker, these posts. Okay, so we've got our crèche on there now. And then I'm going to just draw a the little guy in the hay. So we're going to draw his body, and then we're going to draw his head, and then we're going to draw a halo around his head. Okay, and then out from the sides of the creche, we're going to put our hay coming out. Oops, a little slippery there. Okay, now we're going to draw a star at the top of the rock. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the star is lined up with the top of Jesus's head. Okay, so we're going to draw a line, and then we're going to draw the cross line here. And then we can just do some lines coming out of that to get the extra rays of the star. Okay, now once that's done, we can start to put the writing on it. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not quite in the camera here. I'm trying to look at another my iPad while I'm using my phone to film this. We're going to put our writing in the side here. And we're going to really sort of change up this writing. So it just needs to be roughed in. Okay, so basically now we have everything on the rock that we're going to need in order to finish it off. Okay, we've got our baby Jesus and our writing and our star, the creche, so we've got everything going here that we need. Okay, so now it's just a matter of filling it in. Okay, so who is this little guy in the hay? Well, for me, he's our reason for hope, joy, peace, and love. He really shows us what is important in life. You know, we focus on a lot of things. We focus on material things. We focus on our egos. We focus on our emotions. When all we really need to do is focus on Him. And when we do that, we will receive everything that we need. I'm just going to fill in the creche here. And again, my marker is kind of stalling here because of the varnish is making it very slippery. But we can go back and fill it in later. It's not a big deal. So we're going to fill in this bottom part here a little bit later. I'll wait for some of this to dry, and then we'll go back and fill some of that in later. So, you know, I kind of think of Jesus as being kind of a reset button. He gives us the opportunity to change the way we're doing things and reset everything and begin again. And all you have to do really is activate that button. Okay, so we've got our hay in there. Now, I don't have any foundation in theology at all. I just do, I study what I can, but I have a real need to talk to people about God. And I'm really surprised at that. I never expected that I would be like that. Because, I mean, 2 years ago, I had no desire to talk about God. And now it's like I can't learn enough. And I have like a really, really strong desire to talk to other people about God and how they feel about God and what they think. It's becoming increasingly important to me. And I love talking about it, and I love hearing what other people have to say. But again, I'm even shocked at myself for wanting this, because it's just so not the person I have been all my life up until now. I just have, I don't have a lot of confidence in my knowledge. So, you know what? I just say, oh, well, I'm learning. I'm a beginner, and I need to do something. So this is what I do. I paint and I chat. And, I just hope that as I paint and chat, that other people might be inspired and to either paint a rock or to listen to more about Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and paint Jesus's head. And the original rock that I got this from, Jesus had light skin, but Jesus was from the Middle East, so I'm giving him dark skin because I think that's more appropriate. Okay. So as I was saying, I have confidence in doing this now. And if you knew me before, you know that I was not confident about this at all. I had no desire. And, even being on a camera, I just, when somebody points a camera at me, I get really nervous and uptight, and I don't like it. And, you know who you are. It's a little bit different now. Now, when somebody points a camera at me, I just say to myself, Linda, God has this. And it takes me a couple of seconds. And sometimes I can't look at the camera right away because it takes me a couple of seconds. But in that couple of seconds, I realize that God does have it. So it doesn't matter. I can go ahead and do what I need to do with confidence. And I don't feel agitated about it. And this all comes from Jesus. This totally comes from Jesus, who gives me the confidence to do the things I need to do. This little guy in the hay. So I'm putting a little bit of white paint in my palette, and I'm going to put a little bit of like a bright sunny yellow paint in there as well. Okay, just a couple of drops of each, just so that I've got some paint that I'm able to do some dotting with. Now I'm going to use this dotting tool. You don't have to have one of these. They're relatively inexpensive if you're thinking about doing a lot of painting. They're relatively inexpensive, but you can just easily use the tip of a pencil, or you could use, if you have a pencil like this, you can just stick a straight pin into the end, and especially the ones with the little ball ends on them, they make great dotting tools, so you don't have to purchase anything. But that works just as well on to create dots that are fairly even as well. So I'm going to make a circle in the middle here as the center, and then I'm just going to bring dots up, and you'll notice that as we go down, the dots, because there's not as much paint on it, the dots get a little bit smaller. So at least I hope you could see that in the camera. Okay, so I'm just going to keep dotting here and go out, and as the dots get smaller and smaller. Hi, Lorene. Hi, Pat. Thanks for joining us. There, so we have our basic star there now. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill in a little bit of the crush here because it's a little bit scratchy looking. So this is a very interesting experience for me. Many of you know, at least people at my church know, that I suffer from a diagnosed anxiety disorder that makes it very, very hard for me to be in social situations or be in the limelight in any way. But you know what? Here I am. Here I am doing this on social media, and I have so much more confidence than I ever had before in my life, and it's just such a wonderful feeling. And that feeling is because of this little guy in the hay, that I am able to talk to people and put something on live stream that there's no way I would have done before. If anybody would have said, before, in 2 years you'll be doing a live video on Facebook for everybody to see, I would have said not bloody likely. I probably would have said something much worse 2 years ago, but anyway, you get the gist. I'm quite happy doing it now. Okay, so I'm not quite happy with this hay. I'm going to just put a little bit more lift to this hay here. That looks a bit better. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of stylize these letters a little bit. And they're meant to sort of look rough. So we're not going to any great deal to make these nice straight letters. We just want them to be just simple letters, maybe a little bit wiggly. And then I'm going to put some dots in them just to give them a little bit more style. There, just spruces it up just a little bit. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do, in order to add a little bit of color to this again, is I'm going to take my daughter, And I'm going to put some yellow dots in here as well. Just that makes the star look a little bit brighter. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start outlining some of, no, you know what, I think first of all what we're going to do is we're going to go and just fill this in a little bit better because it's a little bit scratchy in places and we don't want that. Again, a little bit tough with the varnish on because it tends to scratch below your first coat of paint, but I still like the effect of that varnish on there, so we'll suffer through it. That's a bit better. I won't do anything with the crash because we like that sort of scratchy look on the wood anyway. So now I'm just going to put an outline in there. And I'm trying not to touch those wet parts of the actual paint. And that's the benefit of using markers for most of it, is they dry so quickly. And wet paint does not. I'm going to have to go over that. I made a little bit of an error there. Okay, so I'm going to turn this way because it's less likely that I'm going to touch the wet paint there. Okay, and then I'm just going to draw some lines in here to simulate the wood. Okay. Let's add a little bit of texture into the hay. And I think this white is mostly dry, so we can go ahead and draw our lines in here to outline baby Jesus there. Okay. So I hope, I'm just going to add a few more dots in here for stars. So I hope that everybody watching this, if, you know, when you see a nativity scene, either out in a park or at somebody's house or even your own, that you don't think of it as a Christmas symbol in the same way that you think of a Christmas tree or a snowman or wrapped gifts. I hope that when you see a nativity scene, you see that little guy in the hay. That little guy in the hay, for all the joy and hope that he brings to us. Because really, that's what Christmas is all about. The joy and hope he brings to us now and for the future. So, this is our little rock. Very simple, but with a very big message. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I really miss everybody at Brant Naz terribly. I can't wait until we can get back together again and hear all those beautiful voices in the sanctuary and see everyone again. It's just something that I'm really longing for. So, Merry Christmas again, everybody. Stay safe and God bless. Take care.